We've used Ag Leader on our farm for a long time. They just keep getting better. From brand to brand, cab to cab, Ag Leader offers a complete package for your year-round precision farming.
Oh, I see.
Let them help you plant it, apply it, harvest it, steer it, and manage it more efficiently and profitably.
Well, that's why the being awake thing we were describing so much before, right? Like if you're just checking the boxes, when you look back, you're going to be like, oh, I was asleep that whole time. And doing things like listening to podcasts to figure out how am I going to make my farm better? What am I going to do to change some situation? Those are the signals that you're trying to be awake as much as you can.
Ladies and gentlemen, farmers, ranchers, and distinguished guests, thank you for listening to the Farm4Profit Podcast, where we discuss the latest ideas, methods, trends, and techniques available to help your farm achieve higher levels of farm profitability. The Farm4Profit Podcast is co-hosted by Tanner Winterhoff, the Iowa Bankerman, and David Whitaker, the Iowa Land Guy, where in tandem they will share their ideas and advice from industry experts. Thank you again for listening to the Farm4Profit Podcast. Remember, if you aren't farming for profit, you won't be farming for long. And now, here's Tanner and David.
Hey, listeners, welcome back to the Farm4Profit Podcast. This is Tanner Winterhoff.
This is Corey Hillebo.
Thank you for joining us. We have our 3-year anniversary episode.
Woo!
3
July 4th.
years.
Happy birthday. No.
It is birthday.
Yeah.
It would be happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We are 3 years old. I don't know if
And we're celebrating our country's independence.
I don't know if we really act like we're 3 years old. Do we?
No. You act like you're 60. I feel like I'm 60.
You feel like it, I act like it. We're a match made in heaven.
You know, getting old sucks. My knee hurts, but not like when I walk on it, just like when I'm sitting here.
I
Why?
was laying in bed last night. My knee was hurting. Just laying there.
Why? Like I did nothing to it.
No, nothing at all. Dave, unfortunately, is having a vacation. I mean, the guy is living the life everybody wants to live.
Yeah. I mean, he sold so many farms this year. He has to take a month off. And
Some mental health time.
Yeah.
Good for him. We're going to be in here slaving away, celebrating 3 years. But listeners, that's only achieved because of you, and we thank you so much for that. We also thank our proud sponsors. Who's our listener review brought to you by today, Corey?
Ag Leader, cab to cab, season to season, brand to brand. Ag Leader it. They have a solution for planting it, applying it, harvesting it, managing it more efficiently and profitably.
Absolutely. And listeners, that's what we're here for, is to help you do just that. So let's dive into a voicemail from one of our big friends of the podcast. Here we go.
Hey guys, it's Randy. Just listened to your show with Farmer John. Very entertaining. Left y'all a voicemail a while back. Wrote you guys a song. More of a jingle. It's not that long. Wanted to know if you guys wanted. I'll send it your way. I don't know if you guys got the first voicemail or not, but I've got it. Just email me, or you can always call me on this number. And hope everything's going well with you guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Randy
Hammersmith.
Field Rose himself.
Yes. We're going to have to get the jingle.
Yeah, we need to play that on the next one.
We could do that.
That'd be fun.
We could
I
try
bet
to
it's
get
good
that.
because he wrote a song for Millennial Farmer Zach Johnson, and so now I feel pretty honored to be on that list. So you can do that too. You can leave us a voicemail.
You can
or
write us
shoot
a jingle.
text. Yeah, write us a song. All you got to do is send it to 515-207-9640 or email it at farm4profitllc@gmail.com or review us at any of the streaming services. We always like those too.
Yes.
Daddy, did you know 1 out of 10 people in North America works in the agricultural industry?
You're right, Gabby. With the global population expected to increase to 10 billion by 2050, the demand for sustainable food sources will become even more important than ever before. The agricultural industry employs people in a wide range of professions, including accountants, engineers, farmhands, IT specialists, technicians, salespeople, truck drivers, even podcast hosts, and much, much more.
Daddy, your listeners' next career can help put food on the table for people around the globe.
You're right, Gabby. If they go to agcareers.com, that will connect job seekers with employers in the agricultural industry with more than 4,000 jobs posted every month. agcareers.com, that is agcareers.com, can help you find your next career. Set up your free job seeker account and apply for jobs today. Or, if you're looking for employees, get started today by posting your first job for only $150 when you use the code Farm4Profit to save. That is Farm, the number 4 Profit. Your next opportunity awaits at agcareers.com. But now, this is exciting. We hand selected our guest for the 3-year anniversary episode.
Do you not hand select all the guests?
Well, you kind of do, don't we? We don't really ever get anything forced upon us, right? But back for the second time around, and hopefully not the last, we have Vance Crowe in his brand new studio. Vance Crowe is a communications consultant, has worked with corporations, international corporations around the world. He's spoken to more than 150,000 people. I think you got to make that number bigger, Vance. That 150, it's going to be way more than that now.
I bet it is bigger.
Answering questions about some of the most sophisticated and controversial technologies in the modern age, communications that remain hidden to most people. Vance holds his degree from Marquette University and his master's degree in cross-cultural communications or cross-cultural negotiations from Seton Hall. Vance is the former director of millennial engagement for Monsanto. So that's what we're going to do today is talk to all the... No, we're not talking to the millennials today. I mean, we can. That's not where we're
talking to their ears.
Vance, thanks for joining us.
Oh, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
So Vance is in his new office. I told him before he got on, it's like David Letterman. He's got like the skyline in the background, but it's an actual skyline, right?
Yeah, those are real buildings up there behind me.
That's pretty cool.
Well, let me record this Zoom meeting so that way we can show them what we can see in the background.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at that. All right, Vance. So what we're here today to do for you listeners is we're taking kind of a mid-year break on the question we've been asking everybody. What do you know now that you wish you'd have known sooner? And I think we're going to reflect. We're going to spend some time here with Vance kind of reflecting on the answers that have been given and also what we've learned in the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. So that's the route we're going to go. We got the professional communicator here to kind of help dive into the bottom of some of these. But welcome, Vance.
I think you guys are already professionals. I think it's hard when you realize that you've become an adult. But 3 years, I see your setup. You're playing voicemails and being able to make everything happen. You guys have come a long way.
Well, hey, appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you, Vance. But before we jump into this, what's new with you? What do you got going on?
Oh man, so big things are going on the home front. We're about to have a second child, so things are really exciting.
Congrats.
But if you guys have ever been in the 8th month of your wife's pregnancy, it is definitely a change from regular.
Uh-huh.
And then the reason we moved into this studio was that I started really professionalizing this thing I've been working on called legacy interviews, where we sit down and have people tell us their life stories, and we record it in high definition and then give them a private video for their family. So I've been working on this, and it's been an amazing project.
Kind of like a keepsake for the family members?
Yeah, a time capsule, some people call it. Sometimes people have done it before they go into a retirement community or right after they've sold a business. So it's like trying to capture a moment and some of their how they got to where they're at.
Where can people go to get signed up for that?
Yeah.
legacyinterviews.com. So we have the domain site of just this really simple process. You can either do it online or come into the studio here where we do them personally.
Right in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our Farm for Fun show last week on Thursday was Brooke Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like something that Brooke would jump right on. She's in that moment of her life to where she wants to make sure her daughter doesn't miss anything.
Yeah. She has cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Tough stuff, but that's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's exciting, Vance. I hope people reach out to you because that sounds like a really great passion project almost, just to help.
Yeah, I did public speaking for a long time. You were talking about the numbers, and one of the reasons I did it is because I'm a junkie. It's exciting to be there right on the edge as you're talking to a crowd, but now I'm professionally listening to people. And so you're just there to ask just a few questions, just a few things to prompt them to tell their stories, because I don't know what happened to them along the way. And my goal is really just to make them have a platform. And I would say there is just as much adrenaline. I get done at the end of a day and I'm exhausted because it's like a full attention you're paying to everything a person is saying and feeling.
Right.
I would say probably my biggest reflection from last 2 years, because I've only been on for 2. You guys have been on for 3. Is the listening part that Vance said. You print off these big sheets, getting ready for stuff, for shows, and have questions, and the way you want it to go, and that's good. But sometimes you just got to sit back and listen.
Yeah.
And let it go where it goes.
You're right. Some of our best shows don't follow the outline.
Yep.
Yeah. Just get engaged behind the story, behind what the guest has to share, whether it's their personal story or on the topic that we wanted them to hit.
Yeah. It's real.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always call it the tiniest choices game, right? It's somebody's telling you something, and most of an answer is usually obvious. It's the thing that's like, wait a second, why did they say that they were up in Lansing, Michigan, right? Like they added in some detail that was really important to them. And if you figure those things out, then you grab it and you pull on that string. That's when you're like, oh my God, I had no idea we were going to get to this part of the conversation.
It's like opening a seed bag. Pull that string.
I opened a lot of feed premix bags. Yeah. No, that's awesome. It'll be fun if any of those passion projects, any of those legacy interviews get published. If there's somebody that wants to share their legacy publicly, just to kind of witness it firsthand.
I actually never even thought about that. I mean, they are so personal. You're talking about things, people answer questions like, really tell me what your parents were like. What do you want your grandchildren to know about their great grandparents? And what did you have to do to overcome vices in your life? Or what do you think happens when you die? And so these are deeply intense questions, and people take them really seriously. So it's actually been a little bit of a challenge to get photographs to show what does the studio look like, because people are so intense in these things that you feel a little weird putting it up. But if somebody would ever do one for public, I would love to publish it.
Yeah.
It's deep because I'm trying to think of my great-great-grandparents or whatever, and I just know very little of them. But now, way in the future, these interviews that you have are going to be available, and they're going to be able to see them and feel them. Whereas I had a picture, maybe one, and maybe a newspaper article. That's it.
I think my great aunt Suzanne and my dad's cousin Jeanette they make a great pair, because they're the ones that have tracked the Winterhoff name all the way back, and it correct. It's probably in books and in a journal or in a diary right now, but that might only go to one person. To where maybe I should do that. Maybe I should tell Dad we should get hooked up with Vance.
One of the greatest things, it took me a little while to figure this out, was to do people as couples. So whenever somebody gets one of these as an interview, if they decide they're going to bring their wife in, there's no extra charge for it. And the reason is what you actually are capturing is something altogether different than just the stories. Now you're catching the interaction between two people. And we've heard people respond back thank God we caught how Dad makes Mom laugh, or how mom rolls her eyes when Dad tells that story. That's kind of the element that's really difficult to capture in a photograph. It's the chemistry between two people.
Even if they don't remember the story the same way.
Yeah.
That's the best. They each want to tell their own.
They almost never do.
Yeah.
They almost never do.
Yes. Well, that's good. Well, let's jump into a couple of things that our prized guests, our very special people who volunteered their time to be on our show the last 6 months, shared with us to answer that question. What did they know now that they wish they'd have known sooner? And some kind of jumped off a little bit and deviated, but a lot of these I think are going to come back, Corey, to a lot of the same core principles.
Yeah, a lot of them are the same. Overlap.
Yeah. Kind of like the most successful farmers. What kind of traits do they have? We were able to kind of get that weeded down into about 6 categories.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
The first one, and I think probably one of the most important ones, was one of our recent episodes with Zoe Kent. And her answer was, it will all work out in the end. We can't see what the future is going to be like, but it'll all work out in the end. Trust in yourself, continue on your path, and when you look back on it, you will see that it all worked out.
That's good, because it will.
It does.
Even if it's not the way you wanted it to go.
Right.
It'll be fine.
I'm sure, Vance, you've seen that in a lot of your interviews, that it does. It just all works out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the things that people describe when they're talking about their legacy and how things work out is things that when they go terribly wrong really do open up other doors. And it's stuff that they never would have wanted, they never would have asked for, but then they look at the child they have because of the pregnancy that happened too early, or, getting in that car accident when they were drunk driving, because that actually then forced them to make some big changes. Like it is one of those things that if you just kind of let go of your worries and just follow the present moment, it really does make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Next, I liked, I'm skipping down one or two, Ryan Rusink from Tractor Zoom and Beer Money Pulling Team. He said, I wish I would have known it was okay to fail. And we've had a lot of those. I feel like a lot of people said it's okay to fail, or fail, what Brent just say, fail forward.
Yeah.
And he wasted so much time on his life on opportunities because he was striving to be perfect instead of just good. So life isn't perfect, neither are you. So stop wasting time trying to be perfect while opportunities pass you by.
Yeah, and that kind of rolls into what the New York Farm Girl said. Claudia said, when you think of what other people's perceptions of you are, and you're concerned with that, you're limiting yourself, and you're never going to truly live your best life. So it's just, why get caught up in perception?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Reputation matters, right, Vance? Reputation matters, but truly, if you are comfortable with yourself, if you are proud of what you're doing, does the rest matter?
One of the questions I ask people is, what was the hardest lesson to learn that was the most valuable to know? And I would say 80% of women that are over the age of 60 say some version of what she's describing there, which is, I wish I would have learned earlier not to care what people thought. Like, that's not what matters. What matters is, what am I doing? What is my family thinking? I think that's a hard burden for people to get over.
Yep. I think I took that on when I started the podcast, 2020, the pandemic, whatever, all that stuff going on. I used to be a people person. I used to please everyone, want everyone to be happy, want to be liked by everyone. It's not like that anymore. And it's like a big weight off my shoulders.
I've always been told to have thick skin. And I don't know if I like that phrase. It is nice. We do get lots of messages. We get a lot of people reaching out. We get a lot of comments. We don't ever have to delete very many, thankfully. We don't have the haters that some people have. But if you were to follow the direction of every suggestion you get,
yeah,
you're not going to go anywhere. So you got to.
Have you guys gotten feedback that you were like, ouch, that hurts? But the reason it hurts is because it was something you needed to know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tanner just had one last week at banker school.
Uh-huh. Huge. Called Corey as soon as I left banking school, and I went, wow, I need to shut up.
I said, thank you.
But it comes back to, just like you said, you're professionally listening. And that is something that I need to work on a lot. I like to drive. I have a dominant personality. I want to direct the conversation and steer it. But there is so much more value in observing, listening.
Yeah.
Letting other people speak.
Skipping on to the next one here, I like Steve Sukups. We had them down at the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville for Sukup Manufacturing. He said, I should have stepped back sooner to get a better perspective. And I think you can step back in life a little bit just to see where you're at, where you've been, and because sometimes it feels like you haven't got anywhere.
That's true.
And if you step back and look at yourself a year or 2 or 5 years ago, it's like, wow, we've come a long ways.
Well, that's got to be true with your podcast right now, right? Like when you look back on the first 15 episodes, it has to look pretty far away from where you are right now.
Oh, absolutely. And it's tough to not get caught up in the day-to-day of, oh, this was a down week, or we're looking for that exponential growth, the next step. You're still in it. You still want to drive. You still want to push, but I agree.
We do have those weeks. I mean, we had one a couple weeks ago. It's like, man, we just can't win this week.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, I think the one that's hardest for me is not to just be like, all right, I know what I got to do to get it done, instead of like actually doing something worthwhile. That's the hardest one.
Yep. And I would say we had a period of that too.
Yep.
It was, and it's usually when life gets busy, and that's another word that I don't like and I use all the time.
Yeah.
Is when life gets busy, some things you just go through the motions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone's busy.
Yeah, I mean, but it's essentially like falling asleep during this one life that you have to live, right? And I think the busiest times are often the times when you just kind of shut your brain down. And that's why that perspective comment is so right? Like you got to have something that wakes you up out of the I'm just getting stuff done mode.
Right.
Exactly.
That's a big, and that hits home for everybody, whether it's planting season and you're just going through the motions. You don't get out of the tractor. You don't go check seed depth, seed spacing.
Yeah.
You're spraying, and when you get busy going through the motions, what else do you miss out on?
Yep.
I had picked another one out of here that came from Mike Schulte of the Pork Tornadoes. So another episode that was kind of off the wall, a lot of fun. The guy's great.
Yeah.
So he's a drummer for the band Pork Tornadoes. Which
That's the best name. I don't think I've ever heard a band name like that.
Isn't it? And they are awesome. They're a cover band, and we're going to be fortunate enough to hear them right here in town. They're going to do our town festival in September. August?
End of August, I think.
End of August.
We need to get together with them when they're back.
We do. But he basically said, you got to have passion. Be passionate because that means something. Put everything you can into it once you figure it out. Whatever your passion is or whatever you care about, make it successful. And I just almost want to leave it just at that. So many of our listeners have a passion for farming, have a passion for the ag business that they're running, have a passion. Well, we talked to the bridge, we got a text message in from the guy that works for the Army Corps of Engineers and does bridge work.
Yep.
He still has a passion for what he's doing.
That's great.
Just leads into another cliche, Vance, of if you love what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah, the hardest part about that is that, you do have the days where you're like, my brain just isn't working. I wish this was easier because I think I can get stuff done, but my brain's just not cooperating.
Yeah. There was another one down here, Corey. Remember when we had Steve and Melissa, the Valentine's Day episode, the power couple, who didn't even know they were a power couple. Yeah. They were funny too. They're
very funny.
They're a cute couple, and I'm sure you witnessed that a lot, Vance, in your interactions with people. But he said it. I wish I knew things could be done differently than the way Grandpa did it.
Yeah,
and I just want to expand on that. It doesn't have to just be Grandpa. It just doesn't always have to be done the same.
That is
true. I mean, I don't know how many people have said during legacy interviews their marriage, like the decisions they make as a couple. Somebody will be like, I didn't realize I didn't need to treat my wife the way my dad treated my mom. And that was really hard because it seemed like, oh, that's just the right way, that's just what you do. But it's a hard lesson to say, I don't have to do it just the way it was done before me.
So to mix that up, I'm going to skip way forward. I know I'm not supposed to do that.
No,
this
you
is
do
a
whatever you
Dave
want.
move. This is a Dave
fine.
move. But Tony Reed, Growing Corn 2020, said the older I get, the smarter my dad was. Listen to your dad, basically. So I think there's a balance there of wisdom, and you can try things your own way.
Yeah, I'm kind of speechless. You're right. He's right. All of these guests are right, Vance.
Yeah.
It's just fun to again have perspective. We used that word a lot last week. To just put into perspective, having a clear mind of what you want your life to be, what you want your farm to be, what you want your business to be. And then that way you have a legacy to talk to Vance about.
Well, that's why the being awake thing we were describing so much before, right? Like if you're just checking the boxes, when you look back, you're going to be like, oh, I was asleep that whole time. And doing things like listening to podcasts to figure out how am I going to make my farm better? Or what am I going to do to change some situation? Those are the signals that you're trying to be awake as much as you can.
Yeah. And Ryan Peter, when he was on Bushels and Barrels, wasn't talking about his parents. It's okay to do something different, but also your dad was pretty smart. But he was saying that don't be afraid to try something new on a small scale. But then when you see the positive results or the results you were looking for, be ready to make it big. Make a big decision, make a big move. Test it out.
Yep.
That's what he wished he'd have known sooner is it's okay to try something different. It doesn't have to be on a full 80 acres.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be on the whole farm. But try something new, and then when you see the results, then shove your chips across the table.
Yeah, it's the comments that I get sometimes. I've been rolling soybeans that are up, and people are like, "What are you doing?" It's like, if you don't try, how do you know, right?
Yeah. It's been great social media interaction for you.
Yeah.
But the number of people that have asked him why It was actually pretty impressive.
The asking is okay. It's the people. You're going to kill your beans or whatever. It's just like, okay, I did it last year. They were fine. So,
well, that's something I can reflect on from our 3 years, Vance. And I know that you're going to echo the same thing. Is you can't judge anybody for what they're doing. It's better off trying to figure out why they believe it's the right thing to be doing.
I mean, if you approach somebody with the, I know that what you're doing is wrong, like it's very difficult. It's only the rare person is interested in hearing that. But if you approach somebody with the why question, I mean, most of us go most of our lives, nobody ever asks us, why are you doing what you're doing? So if somebody gets up the courage to be like, hey, why are you rolling your beans that way? It creates a conversation where you both may pull something away.
Yep. Yeah, me answering those questions really, I guess they commented back and like, oh, thank you. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. It doesn't mean they have to start doing it your way.
No.
But now they
also, even just in explaining it, all of a sudden you start realizing like, maybe there's some other reasons why I'm doing this, or maybe there's some other benefits I hadn't thought of, but I was doing it. My original reason was this, but just that reflection, breaking it down and really thinking about it really makes you change the way you thought.
Yep.
There's sometimes when I say things out loud, I realize that it sounds dumb or that I shouldn't be doing it that way.
Sometimes
so thanks. Whew, clearly 3 years. No, but yeah, I agree. It's just, again, when you say something out loud, it's a whole lot different than being in your head. Whether it's a great idea and it's time to move forward, or I say something and Corey goes, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Most people think by talking, right? The time that they're talking is actually the only time they're taking those nebulous ideas and putting them in some sort of like linear thing. That's why like when I'm doing these interviews, or you see it on podcasts, right? People start talking about something that they've been working on, they care about, and all of a sudden they're like, I didn't really know I thought that until I had to take all this clouds and make it one coherent thing.
That's interesting. Well, that could
Makes
be
a
good.
lot more sense.
It could be good to the listeners that, even if you just are talking to the shop cat,
Yeah.
say it out loud. Or I guess in my sense, I could just talk to my wife. It's probably the same amount of listening that's happening.
And well, when you're doing that, there is some things you don't say out loud. Be careful.
You've got great perspective again this morning, Corey.
I've learned the hard way. Yeah, probably shouldn't have said that.
Oh, that's great.
I think we should go. We have to do Cheyenne's.
Yeah.
Because that's where Dave is right now. He's ranching with Cheyenne Smith, Jay Lazy Angus Ranch in Idaho.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Yep, took his wife.
What a trip.
Yeah.
That's living the dream right there.
Took his wife out there for their anniversary.
Yeah. Of course, it's not Dave, though, without making it a little bit work because he went and taught auction school before that. But she said, I wish I would have started sooner. And she meant in ranching, but I think you can take that across all facets. She said, we were worried about the financial burden. Start small, take a chance. Don't be afraid to try. So that I would say I echo that.
Yeah. And you couple that with what Huey said. He said, things take time. So that's Huey Be Cool. Things take time, but you have time. Do more things in your life because you can always change its course.
Yeah.
So start soon, now, tomorrow,
Yep.
and it's okay. It's not going to go fast.
And if you don't love it, go do something else.
That's fair.
Right? Why do something you don't love in life?
So, Vance, I don't know if people know your full story. If they remember back from the conversation that we had, is you had a corporate job, and then you jumped out into working for yourself. When you reflect on that, did that start fast, or did it take time to work its way out?
Before I came to work at Monsanto as this director of millennial engagement, I was running my own communications company. And so I have that pull towards being independent. But it wasn't until you actually start making a corporate salary with corporate insurance and you see like how much the golden handcuffs are really kind of, they're like, oh, look at this. Look how secure I am here.
Oh, yeah, we know.
And that was when it got a lot harder to do something outside of it. It was easy to be an entrepreneur when the alternative was there's no great corporate job. It's a lot harder when you have something that looks really good. And then you really have to be aligned with your wife who's like, are you sure you can make this work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are your handcuffs golden at the bank, Tanner?
Yep, gold plated. Not solid gold, just gold plated.
But they look beautiful.
They're nice and shiny. Absolutely. No, it's tough. It's great, and I'm taking a lot of this advice myself. I'm glad that we chose to do this episode, because even after I prepared the outline,
Yeah.
again, we're saying it out loud. Vance is adding perspective. Corey's adding perspective. And you just sit here and you go, oh, well, I could do this better.
Yeah.
I could do
Well, that's
more.
the fascinating thing even about a podcast. You think about everybody that's listening right now. They're driving in their truck. They're washing dishes. They're going out and doing, chores. Like, they are right now having a conversation with us in their mind, right? They're listening. They're having the exact same experience as if they were sitting right with us. And so they're hearing that advice and they're saying, no, I don't agree with that. Or yes, I do. And that's what makes a podcast so special. It's that it's not just the three of us sitting here. It's the three of us plus the person listening on their phone right now. And,
Right.
and they're right there too, having that conversation. It's just their part is the conversations in their mind.
I think it's like multitasking with your brain. It's why because I think I used to listen to music when I was doing chores or doing the mindless tasks or, driving a truck. But then you hear the same song 3 times and it's like, okay, that's enough. Why not challenge yourself? Even if you don't agree, it keeps your brain thinking.
Yeah. That's some of the most entertaining podcasts that I enjoy. A couple of them really hit my core interests. But some of the others put me in a spot outside of the box. Like, I listened to one that's really feminist.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should admit that. No, I don't care about it. But it's a whole nother perspective. What they are seeing, they, as in a certain group of people, whoever it is, what their perspective on life is, the corporate life, the world, the equalities, the inequalities.
Yeah.
I agree. Challenge yourself. Listen to show.
Yeah.
Find one that you don't think you would normally dive into.
Everyone knows you listen to Call Her Daddy. That's it. That's the one, isn't it?
Not going to respond.
Yeah, he didn't have anything. Yeah.
But it's a fun world to be a part of. And then the other part is when we get to meet listeners in person at these trade shows or at gatherings, that's a whole nother element of this. Because they know you and you don't know them.
I'm totally so I think every podcaster goes through like a transition where at first you meet somebody and you're like, oh, they've heard of my podcast. This feels really gratifying. Then you have the like, oh, they know who I am, right? Uh-huh. But eventually you get to a point where you're like, hey, this person has put in the time and the energy to listen, and we now can be friends because we have such a shared language. We know these people that I've spoken with. They've spoken to them too in their mind. And that's when podcasting really becomes a deep thing. And you say, I really want listeners to talk with me because they know what I know. We can have a way deeper conversation than I can have even with people I maybe work right next to.
Yeah. And I feel bad. I get to that. I think we're in that third phase now. And then I feel bad when I can't remember who they are. Like when it takes more time to catch up. And that to me, they don't deserve that. That's a flaw of mine of names and faces. But when you see them, you're like, crap, okay, I gotta remember either username or name and part of their story to get caught back up, and then you're right back in it.
That's just part of the digital world. I mean, even if we didn't have a podcast, like you might talk with someone on Twitter daily, but if you saw them in real life, do you think you could recognize them?
That's fair. That's fair.
It's weird.
Yeah, or not call them by their username.
Yeah.
That's true, right? Because it's so much like, oh, that is D Faber 84, not Dwayne, right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, another when speaking of podcasts, we had Rob and Emily in Sharkey,
Bob
obviously.
Sharkey.
Bob.
I'm going to keep referring to him as Bob.
And they were on our last summary episode of the most common traits of successful farmers. And I loved Emily's. I actually liked both of them, but I really loved Emily's. She said, be the dumbest person in the room. Surround yourself with people who inspire you and push you to do better. At the same time, don't give any time to naysayers or negativity because those people will bring you down.
Man, those guys live that. They truly do. Those are the two most humble people in the world. And I remember talking with Sharky. He was over at my house. We were making dinner one time, and I'm grilling out. And I remember realizing like, whoa, this isn't just like the dumb kind of yuck farmer. This guy legit knows about how farming works. Like he knows about the finances of it, but he's totally willing to let other people be telling him things. And it's if you can lower that ego, you watch how people open up to you.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a better dynamic in a couple that would lead to success like they've had.
Oh man,
it just
they
works.
are the true power couple.
Yeah. It's fascinating how much support they have for each other, how much love they have for each other, and then how much passion they have for delivering the messages that they now have the platform to do.
So think of it this way. She said that they drove here and we're in studio, and she said that in the room with us.
Yeah, I know. Again, reflecting.
That's pretty cool.
Who gets to do that?
Yeah.
Who gets to have
the people that take chances, right?
Yeah.
The people that take those chances like you guys did. I mean, there was a time when getting out there and getting the equipment and saying, hey, I'm going to put myself in a place where I could get laughed at or it could fail. The only people that get to do the exciting things are the ones that put themselves in a position to fail.
That's true. That is a great reflection, Corey, that they did. They drove from Illinois to Iowa to sit in the studio and wanted us on their show.
And say, be the dumbest person in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. Rob, though, again, great perspective, said, don't criticize yourself so much. Focus on what you do well to be more confident.
Are you self-critical, Tanner?
Oh, absolutely. That's when you edit the show or you post-edit the show, yeah, I am. I'm very critical of myself. I know what little quirks I have. I know that I start off and stall with the word so all the time. Mm-hmm. I know the repetitive words that we use. I know.
Fantastic.
Yes. you get critical, and it's hard to let that go.
Have you gotten better? Have you been able to look at the things you're critical of and say like, hey, those are a couple of things I got rid of?
Yeah, and I probably have more pushed them to the side and done what Rob said, is focus on what we do really well. And I think as a podcast, the reason the three of us have stuck together for 2 years, the reason Dave stuck around for 3 years, is we know very clearly what each one of us do well.
What did Rob follow that up with? Because I feel like he said, what the heck was he trying to do? He was trying to do everything, or he was trying to do the editing and all that, and he finally just realized he's good on a mic.
Yep, he's great at asking questions, being creative, and I would have thought more of that would come from Emily, but Emily drives the bus. Yeah. She's got the schedule, she's got the calendar,
she's the business,
she's got the partners, and Rob.
It's amazing to realize that there are people around you that want to do different things than you. Like I have my business partner for these legacy interviews. Like if somebody came to me and said, hey, I'm going to take over the strategy of who we're going to reach out to and kind of what our campaign is. And I want you to do all the detail work. If somebody said that to me, I would be like, hey, man, screw you. I want to be in on the strategy. Yeah. But that's not what he wants to do. It's not what he cares about. It's not what he's good at. And it's a really hard thing to realize that not everybody wants to do the things that you can do. And if you can get paired up with somebody that's opposite of you, man, that becomes supercharging.
Mm-hmm. Well, we did our episodes with Elaine Fraze on transition planning. And when you even think about that in the dynamic of a family farm or a family business, son is not going to always do what dad did or enjoy doing. Same thing. Mom, daughter, cousin, whichever it is in that family operation, you're right. Dad may have a passion for livestock and the kids don't.
It's kind of like making a team, right? Like if you have all quarterbacks, it's not going to be good, right? Not everyone can be that.
Yeah.
You know, it took some humility. My wife loves doing bookkeeping because she's really detail oriented. And I was like, no, I'm the family bookkeeper. And then one day I was like, what are you doing, moron? She actually really likes tracking all this stuff. She really enjoys figuring that out. And we're both trying to get to the same place. So like, let her do what she's good at. And that was a big, big psychological move for me.
And not much creativity comes when you're punching numbers and doing the bookwork and paying bills. That's one of my biggest downfalls as a farmer. I hate sitting in the office. I need it. It's worth it, but man, it's
what percentage of your time should you be in the office, you think?
I would say probably at least half a day to a day a week, but I'm not doing that. That's for sure. What would you say, Tanner?
Well, I'm in the office 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
I don't know if it needs to be you, there are professionals out there that enjoy that. I mean, I think that you need to have a great handle on your operation and how it's doing financially, but there's probably, if that is something you dread all the time, there's probably a way you can assemble a team in a fairly cost-effective manner that will help you with budgeting, forecasting, putting together those pieces of information. And it might only mean that you meet with them an hour every week. So instead of you dreading it and it takes 4 times as long because you're like me and you pulled up TikTok and you started scrolling because you didn't want to open the next spreadsheet, or I notice that when I do stuff that I don't like doing, the phone's up.
Yep.
The phone's in my hand. I've got something else there to distract me, and that task just takes 4 times longer. So I don't think there's a magic number, but there's definitely a magic way, and it's just going to be your way.
Mm-hmm. Probably could spend a couple hours or an hour. If I could spend an hour every day, like in the morning or in the evening, that would be ideal. But I'm a farmer. I don't want to pay someone to do it for me, even though I should.
Well, it's perspective.
It is.
We said the same thing with this podcast, that there's roles that we can pay others to do, thankfully, so we can do more of this. And this becomes more fun. We're not worn out when we get to this part.
Nope.
The last one that I want to hit before we wrap up was the other half of that power couple, Stephen and Melissa. And she says, I wish the things that stressed you out when you were younger, I would have known not to worry about them so much. Just do your best and don't stress. So we talked about opinions and whatever people think of you. But do you remember the things that drove you nuts in high school, Corey? That you just felt had to always happen? And you stressed out about it, and it might have caused other issues in your life?
I mean, yeah, that goes back to I used to be a people pleaser and, wanted to get invited to every party, wanted to be best at every sport, and wanted to do the best at FFA that I was doing. I mean, it was exhausting trying to be perfect.
Yeah. What about you, Vance? What did you used to stress about that you realized, reflecting back on it, that it's not that big a deal?
I think that I actually had the opposite problem. Like, I was very footloose and fancy free, and really probably would have been good for me to be like, hey, be thinking about your future. Yeah. Because I was just like, everything was great. I was probably a little too happy-go-lucky, if that's possible.
I get it. Mine would be, and I still have this problem, is I like being early everywhere. I want to be, I never want to be late. But I remember in high school, even for practice, because you reflect now back on high school sports practice, that didn't matter. And it didn't, I'm not a professional athlete. I didn't need to be there 30 minutes before practice started, but that meant that I was hollering at my mom or my dad or somebody to get me a ride there, or whichever it was, adding extra stress, yelling at my sisters because they weren't ready to go, all that as a child. And now I see that in my personal life with my family, that sometimes, I don't want to be late, but do we really need to be 20 minutes early?
Is that why you texted me 5 minutes before this podcast started? How's your morning going?
No, I told you that was genuine curiosity.
I was across the street. I could see you.
Yeah. But I've gained perspective on that I don't have to expect others to be as early as I am.
We talked about at the very beginning of the podcast, like, what's the time you get advice where you're like, ooh, that hurt? That you saying that is one of my biggest vices, is freaking out when I'm not on time and when my wife is running late or when things are holding me from being on time. So that one cuts a little close to the bone.
It always works out. It always works out. Right? That was the first one we talked about.
Yeah, it was. It always works out.
It always works out.
Zoe.
That's great.
I want to say, is your mom still keeping tabs of these?
This is courtesy of Mama Lynn.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's one thing we don't have to do. She started making this list.
She's the biggest fan. She's behind Randy? No, probably ahead of Randy Hammersmith.
Yeah. Yeah.
The number one fan of the podcast is my mom.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
What's more important than family? In those legacy interviews, that is super consistent. Everybody says family's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Listeners, thank you for hanging out with us for 3 years. I want to know how many, that's not true. I can tell you how many probably are still listening after 3 years in, because back 3 years ago, I think we had 70 downloads a week. So there's probably 70 of you that we can say thank you to.
70. All the way back to the beginning. That's stepping back and looking at that. Wow.
Well,
I hope they reach out
you.
to you and tell you why they were listening to you in the beginning, when you were just getting started. The why of that really kind of gets to the core thing that you guys started with.
Yeah, 70 of them, and we know one has been my mom. So there's 69 others.
Yes.
Actually, maybe Corey might have been one of the others
Yeah,
also.
I was probably one of the biggest critics in the beginning, and that's why I decided, I'm just going to come on here.
Just going to come on and help. Let's make it great.
You should do this.
Right. And here's a question for you, Vance. How do you think all the people that really got you to where you are, in a podcast perspective, I'm not just talking about my parents. I'm not just talking about my co-hosts. I'm not just talking about the guests, but you go back to Rob and Emily Sharkey about the very first conversation. They had no reason to answer my text messages. How do you thank those people, sponsors, the people, the companies, the people who have believed in advertising with us to what their target audience was?
The random people that share the post or comment on a post.
Yeah, the people that will come sit in studio with us just to hang out. Elena did that unpaid, no incentive at all, just to hang out for months.
Yep.
How do you do that, Vance?
The only thing I can think of is you deliver the why that they came for. And as long as you keep doing that, right? If they came because they're like, hey, these people wake me up to change my business, or they give me the strength to do something I couldn't do on my own, then the way you say thank you to them for helping you out is just by continuing to do it. And also, I think giving people chances. I mean, you should really think about, you've invited people onto your podcast and given them a voice and given them a platform to express things that they truly care about. And without you, they wouldn't have been heard. And I think it's really important that you also remember what you're contributing here, because you've changed a lot of people's lives, not just the listeners, but the people whose ideas you've given platforms to.
Mm-hmm.
That's another great perspective.
It's deep.
Listeners, normally we summarize these episodes, but I think what we can kind of summarize here is going back to Zoe's, is it's all going to work out. There's lots of things that'll be stressful. There's lots of things that you don't do well. There's lots of things that you are great at. Focus on making sure that you stay happy. Obviously, you can't go through life with only just being happy. We have to financially drive a successful farm or business.
Yep.
But don't stress out about it. It's going to be stressful. You can't stop that from happening. But if you can give yourself some perspective, some time to step back and realize that it's all going to be okay.
I want a challenge.
Do it.
I got two. So first is, I want you guys to check out Vance's legacy interviews, because I think that's one of the coolest things. To have your family put into
gift
an interview.
Gift that to somebody.
It's timeless. It'll be out there for the rest of time. But the next is, Vance said it as well, I want you guys to text us or leave us a voicemail and tell us if you were there in the beginning or when you started, why, and what we've done and what you want us to do. So 515-207-9640 or Farm4Profit LLC@gmail.com. That would be great to hear from some of you.
I think that would be great. So Vance, as we sit here and we've gone through this entire conversation, what do you know now that you wish you'd have known sooner?
I wish I would have known how important it is to make sure you can stay flexible and strong enough to get on and off the ground, to get up and down out of tractors, to get, you only get one shot at it. And when you let your bones get creaky and you let yourself get inflexible, life gets a lot harder. And the really sweet stuff of life, picking up a child or a grandchild, all happens because you can keep your body going. And I really messed around, drank too much and ate too much. And I really wish I would have known that earlier. But now that I know it, I'm doing everything I can to preserve it. Because once it's gone, it's really difficult to get back.
I knew he would have something that nobody else said.
Yeah. As we were complaining about how our knee hurt at the beginning of the show.
Absolutely. Oh, Vance, it's been a pleasure. How do people find you if they want to track down your legacy interviews or follow you on social media?
Legacy interviews are legacyinterviews.com, and you can either do them on Zoom, we can do them remotely, or you can do them in person. And to find me just to talk, it would be at Vance Crowe on Twitter. And I'm really interested to hear what feedback you guys get about who was there at the beginning. I can remember when you guys got started, you were the most gung-ho people, and you've really delivered. That's something to be proud of after 3 years.
Thanks, Vance.
You're one of the busiest guys. Do you get time to listen to podcasts yourself?
I do a lot of books on tape because I am in a book club and I'm perpetually behind. So I'm reading The Count of Monte Cristo, which is 50 hours in 1 month. So I've been doing that. But that's the greatest book ever. I would give it a big thumbs up.
That's another challenge.
Wow.
Go listen to that book,
The Count of Monte
Count
Cristo.
of Monte Cristo.
Wow.
50 hours. You could listen to 60 Farm4Profit shows. Or one book. That's cool, though. I like that. It's so much perspective comes from books, and that's probably something that I could do better is to read more.
On tape.
Well,
I'm an on-tape guy.
To me, the you got to get in. I had to get into a club, so I have a book club, and now in 3 years you read 36 books. But there's no chance I would have read 36 books if I wouldn't have had somebody being like, "Hey, you ready for book club? Because TikTok here, buddy."
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, good. Well, we're running short on time. Vance, we appreciate you hanging out. This has been fun. We knew it would be, and we're going to have you on again before the end of the year. I know we'll find something to talk about.
You guys are coming on my podcast, so we'll get this arranged, and people can find you in different places where I'll put you on the hot seat.
That's cool. Well, that would be so much fun. We're looking forward to it, Vance. Thanks again for hanging out, listeners. Thank you again for spending 3 years with the Farm4Profit podcast. And until next time, have a good one.
Remember, if you aren't farming for profit, you won't be farming for long.